how this student went through hell learning to trade to finding prosperity movement, fighting our process to now, after 7 months of focus, earning his son's full-time wages, trading less than an hour a day, a few days a week. Hey, my name is Brian Chamberlain, CEO and co-founder of the Prosperity Movement. Listen, if you're an experienced trader struggling to find proficiency in the markets, you might even be new and wise enough to avoid the pitfalls of an industry that only 3% of people actually become profitable and professional. In this Prosperity U podcast episode, we interview one of our members, Leighton Williams, to talk about his trading journey of being burned, building resentment with trading and trading education platforms as a whole, to finding his special place of progress and proficiency as he is scaling back on work while traveling, and even lost 30 pounds in the process of simply listening to our proven processes and culture. He's living proof on what happens when a person ignites the champion from within to follow our very simple 4 pillars of prosperity. If he can do it, you can too. We know you're going to love this episode called We're Not Done Until. There's another type of individual that comes in here that has previous experience, a really challenging experience and a frustrating experience. And so that's why it's exciting to have Leighton on the call today, because what happens when people come in with a champion heart set and mindset, and even if they kind of fight the process in the beginning, if they are committed and coachable and they come through here, what ends up happening is they experience something different with the prosperity movement. So I look forward to diving into Leighton here.
So I paid for something, and that was a trading group promise to make you a consistent, profitable trader. It made a lot of promises. I tried, I failed, I blamed myself, blamed the system and the strategies, and it didn't work out. I got to a point after losing real money, and I reached out, and that's brought me to where I am today. So James was the mentor in that other thing. So I reached out to James, and we had a Facebook conversation, and he said, you need to reach out to the Prosperity Group. They essentially are the solution to that. And, looking back on it, I think you guys were just genuine, really. Here's the thing. I kind of think that you do have the magic pill. It's the interactive nature of Prosperity Group. It's the daily and the weekly check-ins. It's the mentoring. It's the live calls. It's the support. And you obviously saw when I was doing my daily check-ins and it was lost money today, lost money today. You didn't let that continue. You reached out to me and we got on those small group sessions and it turned things around for me. The energy that you guys had before I paid is exactly the same. It's more so now than it was. It's very congruent. You guys are in the groups, you're in the forum, you're in the call, you're in the trenches essentially with us. You've certainly taken me from not even zero negative to positive. I've learned so much. I still learn every single day. I think if you're on the fence, got involved in prosperity, become a good student, been a sponge for the information, put it into practice. Yeah, ultimately just follow the process, follow the system.
So what are the secrets? How do some of the most successful entrepreneurs find the freedom that we all got into business for in the first place? How did they find the time, energy, and resources to launch and scale strong? And how do entrepreneurs like us align our time, money, and energy in a way that will allow us to reach what we set out to achieve? These are the key questions, and this community will give you the answers. Welcome to the Prosperity Movement. Okay, welcome to the Prosperity U podcast. Today we got a special guest, one of our students that I can't wait for everybody to hear the story of, some of the, again, we attract 2 different kinds of traders over here. One that has no experience and they feel the squeeze of inflation and they want to be a part of it because they see the potential in compounding their time, their money, and their energy to be able to drive more impact and income so they can do more of the things they love with the people they love most. And there's another type of individual that comes in here that has previous experience, and more times than not, it's not a good experience. It's actually a really challenging experience and a frustrating experience. And so that's why it's exciting to have Leighton on the call today, because more times than not, what happens when people come in with a champion heart set and mindset, with the right frame of mind, And even if they kind of fight the process in the beginning, if they are committed and coachable and they come through here, what ends up happening is they experience something different with the prosperity movement. So I look forward to diving into and deeper with Leighton here. But ultimately, before we do that, here at Prosperity Movement, our mission is to impact the world by bringing life giving principles of prosperity to it. And our vision is to guide our community to back engineer their full power and potential with purpose driven growth so they can do more of the things they love with the people they love most. And our values are comprised of the three I's. It is impact, integrity, and intentionality. In order to impact the world, we value time, health, relationships, and legacy relentlessly at the highest level. With integrity, we value people over profits, and we are driven and dedicated to the success of our community. And with intentionality, we provide result oriented support through mentorship to ignite an inspired and focused community. With that being said, I'm gonna pass it over to Zach. But yeah, let's dive right in.
Perfect. And I'm going to pass it to Leighton. No, I'm just kidding. so, um, so actually, so Leighton, I'd love to know just a brief, if you can give us like a brief history before joining our community in terms of what you experienced in the world of trading. What were some things you were trying that just weren't really working for you and those kinds of things? Can you give us an idea of what you were going through?
Sure. So I'm a Brit, as you can probably tell from the accent, but I live in the US. I live in California. But back when I lived in the UK, I joined, and you know what? To say I joined something is really fluffy. I paid for something because I don't really feel like I joined anything other than just paid. And that was a trading group that promised to make you a consistent, profitable trader. Uh, and to cut a long story short, did it do that? No, it did not. It made a lot of promises. I tried, I failed. I blamed myself. I blamed the system and the strategies, and I blamed everything really. But bottom line, it didn't work out. And I got to a point after a couple of months, uh, losing real money, being live. I thought nobody makes a profit in trading. This is nonsense. It is impossible. Closed the laptop, got on with my life, and forgot about it really. And then I moved to Canada. Then I moved to the US. And one day I kind of thought, do you know what? Maybe I should look at that trading thing again, because the guys that were doing it and were profitable and consistent and successful, they're still there. And it's been 4 or 5 years since I looked at it. So I reached out, and that's kind of brought me to where I am today. So it's like a history of basically of frustration and failure and a degree of resentment, if I'm being perfectly honest with you.
Sure, sure.
You know.
We
Uh,
and we felt I think we felt that resentment when we were first talking to you and trying
I
to get you to
I gave you guys such a hard time. Uh,
Before we get into that, which I do want to dive deeper into,
yeah,
like something brought you back, but it sounds like there was still a back to other organization with those with kind of that group, and then there was a slight transition over here
yeah,
because it sounds like because James Leone has quite a very strong reputation, and he's still we're on the podcast, we're not going to name the organization, right? But he's still there because he genuinely cares, right? And but why don't you share a little bit about like that in a little bit more detail?
yeah,
What brought you back, and then what was the series of events? Because I don't think that you came directly to us. I think there was still more that even boiled that resentment a little bit more,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. Exactly. Well, obviously, James was the mentor, the Yoda, if you will, in that other thing. And he and I have been Facebook friends for years. So I reached out to James and I said, you know, can you help me with this? You clearly know what you're doing. Uh, I clearly do not. Can you can you help me, whether it's one-on-one or I'll pay for your time, whatever it may be. And we had a Facebook conversation, and he said, you need to reach out to the prosperity group, because everything that we've discussed and everything that you've said, they essentially are the solution to that. And you guys will gel if you take the time to have a proper conversation with them.
If I recall, though, too, there was something about it's just I'm reminiscing. I'm going back to the phone calls because we had quite a few connection points.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
I spoke with you quite a bit, and honestly, we'll be real. We did a lot of this.
Yeah, we did, and I don't deny
And
it.
one of the things that was really key that I found was like, guys, I'm in marketing, I'm in sales, I
Yeah,
see funnels, I know funnels. Like this is like it's so much hype. It's like what was the I kind of want to unpack that a little bit because it is quite we deal with that still a lot with a lot of people coming through that are just like, man, this is too good to be true. Like you guys are spouting off pretty heavy. You're hitting me with text messages every day. You're hitting me with emails every day. Like looking back, what 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 would you want to tell that person that I mean you were kind of feeling the same obviously thing that I'm describing. What would you tell that person or what would you want to tell yourself?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess I've been burned, and a lot of people have been burned, and I'm like once bitten, twice shy. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I run companies, I run businesses, and I'm like, I'm seeing your funnel. I'm understanding your process, because one of my companies has exactly the same process. So, you know, I
Yeah.
get where get the path that you're leading me down. But, looking back on it, I mean, I think you guys were just genuine, really, aside of it all. And I suppose if I could go back and correct my quite arsey behavior, if I if you pardon my French, because I like I say, I know I give you guys such a hard time, and we had call after call. Just stop stop messing around. Just get on with it.
It sounds like you actually see we genuinely love people.
Yeah,
We
totally.
genuinely love the people coming through. We care. We want to see you win and we're pushing.
Yeah.
Uh, can we talk a little bit more about the shift and the change that you see
Well,
here versus what
so
or you got something that you want
yeah.
to start with before then? Okay.
Well, it's kind of into that. So
Okay.
I think because it wasn't like we have a magic pill and we gave you the pill and then ta-da, your trading is starting to do great,
Right.
right? There was something in the way that we do things that kind of started you on the path of consistency. And so correct me if I'm wrong, when you first started with us, you were still kind of having a little bit of struggles. What was the turning point for you?
Well, here's the thing. I kind of think that you do have the magic pill. Maybe you don't realize it, but it's the interactive nature of Prosperity Group. It's the daily and the weekly check-ins. It's the mentoring. It's the live calls. It's the support. And you obviously saw when I was doing my daily check-ins, and it was lost money today, lost money today, lost money today. You didn't let that continue. And you reached out to me and said, dude,
We got to fix
something needs to change here pretty damn quickly. And we got on those small group sessions, and it was the small group sessions, and everything really, and it turned things around to me for me. I had good days at the start, and I'm like, oh, maybe I've clicked. This is awesome. Followed by two or three really, really bad days. And looking back on it, it was never the strategies, it was never Prosperity Group, it was this 6 inches here. Yeah, and my own shortcomings and thought processes and behaviors, and that was what needed to be corrected. And it's what you did essentially.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. Well, I appreciate the kind words.
Yeah.
I'm
And
curious if there
and
was.
that
I
sounds like
wanna,
fluff. You know,
I
that sounds
wanna. Oh,
it's
sorry,
not
Leighton, go, keep going.
that sounds like fluff, and it sounds like, oh, isn't everything amazing? But it's the truth. I mean, I'm sitting in the beautiful La Quinta Inn in about an hour north of Manhattan. I got my laptop. I beat my PIP target this morning, sitting in a hotel room.
Heck yeah.
You know?
So what about
Wait, wait,
what
wait.
about
Before you do, Zach, hold that, please. Can
okay.
write it down. Don't forget it, okay? Because this is a thing that I always express to our team. We want to express to people, and because like, it is getting to a point. I love being on these calls, by the way, Leighton. I'm elated to like you. I cannot express to you how much this, like, it's not that you're doing anything other than being yourself, but this is the reward for me when I'm training people to communicate with people coming through, and I still jump on these calls to this day. It is one of my favorite things to do. I keep telling Travis and I keep telling Zach, don't take me off of that. It is my favorite thing to do in the world. I've had to limit it, so I'm doing less now than I was when we first, made our connection. But one of the things I let people know and I want people to understand, and I train our guys, Israel and Quentin, and the rest of the people coming on board right now, training them to understand, like, I want people to understand that the energy that they see on the front is the same energy, if not more energy, that they get on the back. And so what that means is like I need everybody to understand that it's an illustration from front to back, because ultimately you just finished expressing that we reach out to you when you're wrestling, and that's one of the biggest key components that I want people to understand: the support and accountability. When we say unparalleled, it is. I don't know that this exists anywhere else, and if it does, I would like to meet them, and who
Mm,
knows what kind of collaboration could happen. Genuinely, the energy that you get, most other companies are wham bam thank you ma'am, you make the investment, hey, go watch the videos, we're done, see
Yeah.
you later, thank
I
you, oh, you're
totally.
still talking to me, go back and
Yeah.
look at the content that we just gave you, you paid for that. Over here, I let people know, you give us one, we're going to give you 10. You give us zero, you get 10 times zero. It's just the reality. It's just like the gym. You show up at the gym every day. We know that if you're in a calorie deficit and you show up at the gym every day, it's going to be huge for your results. Now, on the other side of that, like our membership currently is, you have an elite legacy lifetime membership. At some point, like I'm sure it's paying itself off quite well right now. But the point is a lot of people go to a gym and they get a not only a membership, but they also get a personal trainer, and they're paying our lifetime right now yearly,
mm.
right? And
Yeah.
easily that's what's happening over and over again at other organizations, and people are just fighting their way out of it at some point in time. But I kind of want to dive into that just a little bit more, and then I want Zach to jump in with his next move and his questioning while we grill you here today. But like that part, if you can speak to that a little bit more, of the energy from front to the energy to the back, uh, like like you said, it sounds like pixie dust, but if we can dive into that a little more, because I know you jumped on group calls personally with Zach, and I remember seeing some of the conversations where there was a big shift happening there.
No, you're totally right. And you know what? Until you mentioned it, that hadn't really struck in my mind. And literally, and like now, as in this moment, the energy that you guys had before I paid is exactly the same. Even it's more so now than it was. It's very congruent. It's not. And that's one of the things I was worried about, is that you were going to take my money and say, "Toodaloo, here's 3 hours of videos." you know,
Yeah.
that has not happened at all. You guys are you're in the groups, you're in the forum, you're in the calls, you're in the trenches essentially. With us, and you've certainly taken me from not even zero negative, because I was useless, to 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 positive. So what can I
Yeah.
say? That's something that I'm endlessly grateful for. I mean, I joined in February, I think, maybe,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and where are we now? September. This 7 months has absolutely flown, and uh, I've learned so much. I still learn every single day. Every time I get on a call, I learn something new, whether it's with James or with Zach or with anybody. And there's always something new. But you guys are always giving, essentially.
That's
You're not
awesome.
out, you're not on your yacht, not yet, anyway.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
yet.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, here's what we do know: James is going to go get suits every once in a while, missing, missing meetings to jump on a plane to go get tailored
Well,
in another country or something like that. So yeah, there's some fun things happening. I mean, right now for us, like to speak to that, like we genuinely. So I think that in some rates we could, do that. Um, and maybe as we continue to grow more, we will, but there's a deep conviction for us that in this time, and I don't know that people really believe it. Again, it kind of sounds like pixie dust, but the reality of our scenario is the leadership.
yeah,
Again, we're not going to get too political on this call and start pointing out, country leadership and all that kind of stuff. The reality is this: if we look at the way that things were run in a family dynamic, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, dad was a hunter gatherer, mom was a nurturer. We had some wonderful family dynamics. Our divorce rate we didn't really have a huge
no,
divorce rate. And now divorce rate is sitting in and around 60, growing at this time. You've got 75% divorce rate for entrepreneurs that are not working together. 9 out of 10 people who are dealing with mental health and addiction are getting divorced, and over 50% of our Western civilization is dealing with mental health and addiction at some point in time in their life, here now or future. It's happening, and you look at the biggest reasons for those moving parts is miscommunication, money, and miscommunication about money.
mm,
And so lack of team orientation. And reality is, again, you used to have that hunter gatherer and a nurturer, and dad would work 30 years and then have a pension. That doesn't exist anymore. And now mom and dad are both hunting and gathering, and our kids are being raised by teachers.
yeah,
And so, really, what we want to be doing here is driving more impact and income in our communities. We want to drive families together across the nations. We want to be able to impact those numbers, and it really does start with skill sets, right? And skill sets, and first and foremost, your hunting and gathering abilities, and then also your communication. So, we are in ministry. Like I'm not going to talk about the numbers of what I give, but we instead of Lamborghini lifestyle, I'm living in a humble 120-year-old character home in a nice little closet community, and we are planting churches, and that's where I like to move the moving parts. And you get into that a little bit more as we dive deeper as a community and the service leadership aspects of things and the things that you can do from a tax benefit standpoint and all those moving parts. But we're starting to look into things like trust funds and a lot of moving parts. And we've got multiple corporations. I think we're managing up to 7 corporations right now. So, and it's getting a little bit more elaborate. And that's not for this call, but I just wanted to speak to that aspects of things of like, there's a reason why you're not seeing us do that. And it's not that we're against it. It's that we see a really huge need in and where we are. And we want to really drive into that and a lot more
Yeah.
with a lot more vigor here coming up. But Zach, you had something in your heart and mind for Leighton. I'll let you move
Now
on
I
that.
forgot. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So, Leighton, you said that the biggest factor was the 6 inches between your ears.
yeah.
Uh, what would you say, like, if you could talk to someone who is currently struggling, what would you say was one of the main things that helped you turn around the way you were thinking about trading or turn around the way you were actually doing your trading?
Well, you literally just summed it up. Stop thinking about it. Follow the strategy. Stop trying to second guess what the market is going to do because you think it's going to go up and you click buy, then it drops 100 pips and you haven't put a stop loss on. Follow the strategy, follow the systems. Stop trying to be clever
Hmm.
because you are not cleverer than the market. And I have found that out. And I still make mistakes. I still make tons of mistakes, but everyone is a learning process. And as long as I'm fixing that mistake, and the mistakes, they're generally me overthinking and like, or whoa, that's definitely that's going up. Click buy, boop, straight down. You know, that's not following the strategy. That is trading based upon what you think is going to happen, and stop doing that. And I I still do from time to time have a hard time almost being robotic and mechanical about it, and not trying to overthink things, but I have to remind myself, and that's where the trading plan comes in. Every morning I read my trading plan and I go, right, okay, you know,
It
um,
it, it tells you what to do.
yes, I'm in the right place. Stop trying to be clever.
Yeah,
Do what it says. And that is one of the biggest differences as well.
I love
Got
it.
a
That's
you've got
perfect.
like a launching checklist, like a pilot
Yeah,
before
Yeah.
they
Yeah, yeah.
launch. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I
yeah,
mean, I don't tend, I live on the West Coast, so I don't tend to trade the open, but I get up at about 6:45, I make a coffee. My trading plan is never off my screen. I read that before I do anything. I check in with myself, if you will. I'm generally on an even keel. I don't get happy. I don't get sad. I am what I am. But I check in with myself. I remind myself what I should and shouldn't be doing. Okay, now we're good to go. And that also was a big differentiator for me. Instead of just waking up, switching the screen on, it's green, boom, let's go. And you need to prepare yourself mentally. You need to remind yourself of what you're there to be doing, and then do that and only that and nothing else.
beautiful,
Uh,
beautiful.
and as an aside, I'm looking at myself on this Zoom camera now. You probably wouldn't see it, but since February, I've lost about 35 pounds.
Nice.
And do you know why? Because my day starts at 7. Generally, I'm finished by 9. And then I'm up, I go to the gym, I come back. I couldn't do that a year ago because I was running 6 different companies and I had clients. My phone is ringing constantly. I've kind of scaled it back a lot because I can, and like it's like a fringe benefit. My health has improved a lot.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Well, that sounds like the pillars of prosperity coming in
yeah,
there.
totally.
It's all coming in back engineering. Yeah, man. Would James ever be so proud to hear? We'll get him to watch this, but like, I'm just reminded of some of our first interviews with James. Stop thinking. Stop
Mm.
thinking. I'm not doing a very good Irish accent right now, but it's
No, you're
like,
not.
stop thinking. Ultimately, the overall message is stop thinking. Just stop thinking. Just do what it tells you to do. It
Yes.
is as simple as that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are unaware, in Leighton, I don't even know if you're aware that you are following a 16-point measurement system right now.
I have
You
no
know,
idea what.
yeah, well, your intake and everything that you're going through, and
Yeah.
the reason why the coaches are able to actually guide you through and see where the areas of improvement need to be done is because there are 16 points of measurement that you are measuring on a daily basis. And when we talk about, when you hear James say what gets measured gets managed, and we're treating this like a business, you are literally running what we would call a SOP. Like in a
Yeah.
business, you have systems and processes. You're running systems and processes for your trading,
Yeah.
Yep.
right? So,
No. And that's exactly how I would run a business. I'd have SOPs and procedures, and I like everything to be in black and white. And as you say,
Yep.
I've got a trading plan, I've got my daily check-in, I've got my my journal.
yeah.
It's a process.
Well, this
Beautiful.
is
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant, man. Is there any other questions that you have there today, Zach? I mean, this is a half an hour podcast. Is there anything else that you have?
Hmm. Um, no, I just want to say thank you, Leighton, for being a great student. You've been very open and listening and willing to be a little vulnerable with the mistakes you've made in the market. That helps us identify the problem. And some people they'll make a mistake and they hide.
Yeah.
Uh, and so that, it shows your character, it shows how good of a student you are, and obviously results are definitely coming from that for sure.
Totally.
I mean, I know I'm nothing special. I'm no different to anybody else that may come in and just do as they're told, and check in and admit when you mess up, and you're going to mess up. Just admit it, and then it can be fixed. If you hide it, it's never going to get fixed.
Yeah.
So good. That goes with anything in life. Is there
Yeah.
anything else that you want to be able to express to somebody who is coming in just learning about us, maybe on the fence, before we tie up?
Yeah, sure. Because I mean, I was on the fence massively, and you know,
You weren't just on the fence, you were fighting.
yeah, yeah. I was digging a wall.
Yeah. Yeah, I think even there was a point where we were like, we had concluded on, and then we called back one more time. And
Yeah,
I think I can't remember what it was. I might want to go back and listen to the recordings, but I challenged you.
yeah,
I can't remember what I said, but it was something that I said that it almost roused the champion in you. Cause like
yeah, yeah,
that was the thing, is it really, everybody has a fool and everybody has a champion inside of them. And it's really, how do you pull out the champion? That's what we want to do. We're really good at pulling out the fools in each other a lot of the times, but how do we pull out the champion? But anyway, I don't want to be the one speaking to this. What do you want to be able to, like, last little kicker for the
yeah.
people coming through?
Totally. I think if you're on the fence, that's understandable. But knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have given you guys such a hard time, and I would have got involved in prosperity. I would have become a good student. I'd have learned. I'd have, been a sponge for the information, put it into practice, and honestly, I'd have been way ahead of where I am now had I done that from day one. I mean, I fought myself a lot, and it took me a while to get over that. So, yeah, ultimately, just trust in you guys, follow the process, follow the system. And I don't want to be, don't want to go back to the old marketing thing, but I don't really think you can fail as long as you stick around and you do what needs to be done. As long as you're coachable, you do what needs to be done. You learn it and you do it.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. I
yeah,
love that, man. And just to speak to it too, by the way, like I'm a firm believer that nothing is wasted.
mm,
So like we're not gonna live in a failure focus of like I coulda, woulda, shoulda. Right now, the cool thing that's happening here is that you have the opportunity to impact lives through this story, and you're doing a great job of that. Just coming in and being yourself. That's the one thing that I love about you, and I've always loved about you from day one is that you're unapologetically yourself, and you were at that time in your life. That's where you were. You were unapologetically yourself. I don't fault you for any of those moving parts, and it is just such an honor and privilege to see the shift and the transformation, because now that's going to allow a lot of other people to be able to go through that. And now we have this wonderful piece of material that we can give to people that are struggling and challenged. So we can't thank you enough for that. And so, with that, ladies and gentlemen, look, if you're just coming into trading or you've got experience, whatever the case, we're here. I think you get the authenticity, how genuine we want to help you. We want to help you and your family. We want to help you drive more impact and income. We want to help you get more intentional with your legacy and what you leave behind, because we can't, we can bury ourselves in a Lamborghini. We can't take it with us. What is the legacy that we're leaving behind? And so, if you want to get like launched, like get serious, committed, coachable, go through a process, do your due diligence, and prepare yourself for success, just go to prosperitymovement.online. There's a little chat bubble in the bottom right hand corner. Put in your credentials, throw in your information on how we can connect with you, and then also request the blueprint. We'll set you up with the trading blueprint, completely complimentary. Go through the information, get set up on a call, and let us help you. Let us guide you to your full power and potential.
Right. See you guys
All right.
next week. Thank you,
God
Leighton.
bless. Bye for now. Cheers. Thanks, Leighton.